remember walking down the aisle, and this person like double taking as I walked, because they were watching Me Before You, like sobbing. Just going,
Sam, it's lovely to see you.
It's lovely to see you. Thank you for having me.
Behind lots of big photos of yourself here. Well, you've starred in so many incredible projects, which we're going to dive into. But let's start off with one of the first films that you did, Snow White and the Huntsman.
It's a while ago now, yeah.
Do you remember the first time you watched yourself on the big screen and like how that felt, especially in such a big film like that?
I remember watching that movie for the first time, and actually it was the first time I'd ever seen a movie that wasn't finished, or ever seen a project of mine that wasn't like, you know, completely done and edited, and they'd show me like an early cut of it without the CGI and without bits of it. So it felt really. I remember watching it going, "This is terrible. This is a really bad movie," like you know, and they would just be like. Monster, or you know, written and there'd be like a green screen with like nothing for like 10 seconds. So I think once I'd kind of got used to the actual art of filmmaking, it became a bit easier to kind of see beyond myself and see beyond the kind of editing and the genius that goes into making films. But I'm never a fan of watching myself on screen. The best way of describing it is, have you ever listened to a voicemail or a voice note that you've sent and gone, oh my God, I don't... That's how I feel watching myself. Basically, I'm not a fan.
I get it, but you're very good, so you should do it more.
I don't know, but thank you. Thank you for saying that. I need to get better at taking compliments. Thank you.
I'm going after her. You don't know the dark forest. I will not abandon her a second time.
It's such a cool cast though. You've got Kristen Stewart, Chris Hemsworth, Charlize Theron, Goddess. Which actors have you always really looked up to?
How long have we got? Growing up, Jim Carrey was always like my idol. I think I loved to laugh, and I loved, you know, from Ace Ventura to Dumb and Dumber to, I mean, pretty much everything he did, especially in his earlier stages of his career. I admired him. So I would do anything I could to sort of imitate him or give the same sort of Jim Carrey energy to my performances sort of when I was at school. Christian Bale, I hugely admired his sort of transformation, from part to part. Daniel Day-Lewis equally. Joaquin Phoenix, you know, for example, in The Joker, I mean, pretty much everything he's ever done. But I think, it's more performance-based rather than like, there's an actor whose career I admire. I don't have any sort of specific heroes in mind now.
Have you been able to meet any of those guys?
I've not met any of the people I've mentioned.
You will. It's going to happen.
Actually, I have met Jim Carrey. I did meet Jim Carrey because they were shooting Dumb and Dumber 2 when we were shooting Hunger Games, and they were shooting in the same city. And I think there was a scene that was cut from the movie, I believe, that included Jennifer Lawrence. And we all went for dinner with Jeff Daniels and Jim Carrey, and he was telling me the story about how he lost half of his tooth. Well, he didn't lose it, he knocked it out. I didn't know this. For the original Dumb and Dumber, he grabbed a lighter and smashed his tooth so he would have a chipped tooth, which I thought was kind of amazing. And then he had it veneered, and then for the second one, he just got the veneer taken off, which I think is, kind of amazing. So that was my behind-the-scenes story with Jim Carrey.
He went full method there.
Yeah. But I mean, so they say don't meet your heroes, but I'm glad I did. What a legend.
It's the best when people turn out to be just as you'd hope them to be.
Yeah, I feel like that's usually the way. I don't think I've ever been bitterly disappointed with meeting anyone in real life. I think generally speaking, if not always, it's been like a very pleasant, introduction.
Have a good day.
We've got to talk about the Hunger Games because what an incredible franchise to be a part of. Are you aware that people are jealous of the sugar cube? There's this whole thing out there. People want to be the sugar cube.
Well, I'm sorry. You will dissolve. No, I have to say, I wasn't really aware of like the huge sort of surroundings that Hunger Games had. You know, I wasn't aware of the fact that they were books. I remember seeing the first one in the cinema, but not knowing that it was a series of books and it was just going to be, you know, sequels. And I remember getting asked to audition for a character called Finnick in a movie that wasn't called Hunger Games at the time because they were being so secretive. But it meant nothing. I didn't know the weight that it carried, and I didn't know what I was getting myself in for. And then all of a sudden, I remember my Twitter followers just sort of surged, and there was a bit of a backlash, I think, if I remember rightly, for me being cast, because I wasn't blonde and I wasn't tanned and I didn't have green eyes and I didn't have a six-pack. You know, so but I think, but then thankfully after a lot of work, not surgical, but like a lot of hard work and dedication, you know, I got myself into a reasonable good shape. But basically, yeah, I was sort of embraced by the fandom, if you will, and it was an amazing experience. Like I think that was the sort of turning point in my career in many ways.
It all paid off. What's your favourite memory filming The Hunger Games?
I think it would be sitting in the jungles of Hawaii in a hot tub in between scenes because it was cold. It was actually cold in Hawaii, which, you know, it does get cold there apparently. But in between takes, they had a hot tub on set that we would go and sit in between takes to stay warm because we were all wearing wetsuits. So I'd say it was, you know, Hawaii is like my favourite place in the world. Being, you know, in the middle of a jungle, sat in a hot tub was sort of very surreal. But I don't know, the whole experience of filming was wonderful. The people were wonderful. Like, we had the same crew pretty much for all three of the films that I worked on. Like, the cast were great. It was just like a really fun job. And it felt like, you know, a holiday, in all honesty. Well, I mean, it kind of sounds like it.
In the hot tub
I've
there,
realised
chilling.
I was getting paid to be in a hot tub in Hawaii. It's
The dream.
It's a horrible, horrible job.
But you must get fans coming up to you all the time. What are the most common lines you get people coming up to you saying, or specific things about The Hunger Games?
No word of a lie. Most often said to me is, "What have I seen you in?" It's like, you look like someone, you know. And so I think it doesn't happen very often, but people can't quite place me, and I'm quite happy with that. Like, it's not like a definitive role where people are, you're that person. It depends on where I am and depends on what I look like on that specific day, I guess. But yeah, it's often people don't really know where to place me. I remember this once, actually. I was in a public toilet in in Australia, and I was coming out of the cubicle, and these two boys were in there. As I was washing my hands, they were like, "You're the actor, aren't you?" I was like, "Oh God." And then just as that happened, one of them went into the cubicle and was like, "Oh God." I was like, "Wow, that's how I'm going to be remembered now. That's me. That's me forever." So that's my, you know, that's the mark I left on the world.
Quite literally, the toilet of all places.
The toilet. I think that is often the worst. It's got to be the worst place to be recognised. I have to say, there was also one of the worst things that ever happened to me was coming into Los Angeles, and the guy was like, "What brings you to the States, sir?" I was like, "Oh, I'm just here, you know, for work." He's like, "What do you do?" "I'm an actor." So, "What have I seen you in?" I'm not going to list my CV. So then he got on Google and started looking at pictures of me to sort of, you know, it was the most embarrassing. It's hard, I think, because I don't want to tell people what I'm in, because then they'll be like, "No, I haven't seen that. No, I haven't seen that. No, I haven't seen that," you know.
And then you don't want to brag as well.
No, exactly. So I go, "If you don't know, I don't think I can tell you. You know, it's not my job to tell you what you might know me from."
Have you ever had that thing where you've been mistaken for another actor?
Oh, it happens a lot. I was only talking about this yesterday. Nick Holt and I, for some reason, are always mistaken we were at a time. And the amount of times I've been to a premiere of my own movie and someone's thrust Nick Holt's picture, and I'm like, "Well, should I sign it, Nick, or should I sign it?" But
Please
apparently,
tell me you have.
there was one with Max Irons, that me and Max Irons, I think when I got cast in Pirates of the Caribbean, for some reason, someone put a picture of Max Irons on an article that went, you know, and that was that picture that was then used in all the press everywhere. So even when when the film was made and we were at the premiere, I kept getting Max Irons' photo thrust in my face, and I remember going around just signing them Max Irons, Max Irons, Max Irons. But yeah, Nick and I understand that he has had the same thing the other way. It's a compliment to me. I'm happy with that. Nick Holt, yeah, I'll take that.
But where did you get that?
It's a secret.
You and Emilia Clarke destroyed me in Me Before You.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm still not over the bumblebee tights.
The bumblebee tights. I have my own pair.
Do you actually?
I do, yeah. They were gifted to me, I think, as like a wrap gift. I don't know who bought them for me, but yeah, I can't say I've worn them either. But they do still live in my sock drawer somewhere.
You should have worn them in Daisy Jones and the Six. What happened?
Maybe I am under those flared jeans. You never know. I wear them every day.
Should have worn them today. Did you not get the memo?
I am wearing them. I am.
We just can't see it.
Exactly.
But what films never fail to make you tear up?
The Notebook, I think, is the one that my go-to cry fest. I know how it's going to end, but there's still just something in that moment where she doesn't recognise him. After remembering him, and then that moment where she sort of forgets again, it's oh God, it gets me every time, even now thinking about it.
I want to choke up thinking about it.
Yeah, well, it's just one of those sorts of movies, though, isn't it?
Why did you call me darling? I don't know you.
I remember watching Angel Has Fallen with Gerard Butler, and I remember I just had a little boy, and I was on a plane going to Australia, so it was the first time I was sort of leaving him, and I remember watching the movie, going, "I'm going to watch this one, don't miss him, watch, be a man, be a man, I'll be a man." And I watched it, there's like a storyline about him becoming a dad for the first time, and him, being worried for his son's life and his own life, his mortality, not being present for his son. And I just started crying the whole film. So I feel like it depends where I'm at. But it's been a while since I've watched anything that I've cried to, I think.
There's something about planes. There's something in the air that just makes you sob.
Yeah, I've definitely been on planes where I've seen people watching a movie, Me Before You, and I remember walking down the aisle, and this person double taking as I walked, because they were watching Me Before You, sobbing, going, oh, but there's got to be something in the air for sure.
You're just walking down the aisle. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I've got to show you this photo of you and Emilia because it gave me so much joy.
Oh yeah. It was Emilia's character's bikini top, but I don't really know why that exists or why it happened. I can't really remember. I think I was probably looking for a laugh.
It's cute.
It's very cute. It's a good colour on me, baby blue.
I just want to be a man who's been to a concert with a girl in a red dress. A few minutes more.
I feel really sorry for your friends and family because you've
Me
died
too.
a lot. You've died a lot on screen.
It
Do you
keeps
enjoy
happening.
upsetting them?
I never really thought about it until the Twitter sphere started kind of telling me that this was happening, and there was actually a job I got offered once. I was to play a small role, like a cameo in something, and the character died, and I said, "Look, I will do the job, but you just can't kill me off. I've done it too many times now." And I think people think that I'm doing this on purpose, but no, it was never an active choice to die. It's just sort of been written for me. Maybe I've just got one of those faces that people like to see perish. I don't know.
People just want to kill you.
Yeah, exactly.
And declare that England lives tonight and marches on!
Something very different to Me Before You, Peaky Blinders.
Yes.
I mean, that speech, evil.
Pure evil. I'll be honest, I didn't know who Oswald Mosley was when I got sort of asked to read it and audition. But I did a lot of research, and I think, I was in for a rude awakening that this man existed and his mindset existed and exists still in people. It was an eye-opening experience for sure. But pure evil is definitely the way I would describe him. I mean, they say never judge your own characters, but yeah, I was very judgmental.
It must have been hard to sympathise with him.
I think you have to basically understand them and or get to a point of understanding or justifying why they do certain things. But I think in truth, I think some people are just, less fortunate than the others in the way that they think and view the world.
You've played such a diverse range of characters though. Is there anything that you haven't done that you'd love to do in the future?
I'd love to play Father Christmas in a movie. That's like the dream. When I get old, I want to be able to get real fat and hairy, and I want to be Father Christmas in a movie. I want to trump Richard Attenborough as Father Christmas in The Miracle on 34th Street. I'm a big fan of Christmas, if you hadn't already realised. But my granddad used to dress up as Father Christmas in shopping malls when I was a kid. And so my mum used to take us and sit on his lap. But I think there's like, yeah, the dream of mine is to sort of do like a Christmas movie and play like the best Father Christmas the world has ever seen.
I'd watch that. I'll direct.
But there's none of this like Father Christmas when he's young, like not like a prequel,
pure
like
Father
not
Christmas.
the beginnings of Father. No, I want to be like middle of Christmas, like
Sleigh and all.
middle of career, you know, yeah, sleigh and all.
You are my ward, and you will do as you are told.
The bloopers reel for Enola Holmes is Chef's Kiss.
I don't think I've seen it.
You've got to see it.
Okay.
It's amazing. How much of a joy was it working on that film?
Do you know what? Like that was one of those. It just sort of crept up on me. I didn't really realise it would be as fun as it was. But working with Henry, working with Millie, closely, like you know, I was in hysterics daily. And I have to say, I didn't film that many days on it. Like they kind of sort of spread it out over however many months they were shooting. So I sort of pop in, do a day, and then go back to being a dad, and then I'd pop in and do another day. But it was a really, really like amazing atmosphere on set. Harry Bradbeer directing, like it was just fun. It was just fun. That's the only way to describe it, really. I'll never forget the scene where I had to sort of scream at Millie in the back of a carriage, and I remember her being genuinely shocked and scared of me for a second, because she was like, "I didn't know you had it in you." I was like, well.
I was going to ask, how hard was it being mean to Millie?
It's acting, dear boy.
Is that what it's called?
I'm not someone who stays in character, put it that way. So I think it's that thing where it was quick fire, and then back to silly Sam. I try not to like carry my work home with me, or else my kids would be very depressed.
Sensible.
Yeah, I think, especially with the amount I die in films, it'd be very difficult to stay in character for that. Daddy's not coming home today,
Sam, long time no see.
I know, it's been a while.
It's been ages.
It's been 24 hours, I think, yeah.
Annoyingly, we lost the very end of our footage yesterday, so this is really going to show off your acting abilities when I ask you very similar questions.
It's important.
Did you guys want to record something or fight more? I'm fine either way.
I can't tell you how much I'm loving Daisy Jones and the Six. I'm waiting for the tour.
I think we're all waiting for the tour. This sort of feels like the tour, but hopefully one day, maybe, coming to a stage near you.
Fingers are crossed. We see how the band becomes this phenomenon. Do you remember who the first artist or band you ever saw live was?
Probably for me, it was a band called Manson. My sister was with the drummer when I was a baby, so I used to go and they were always performing. We had a country house, and they'd come and perform and rehearse in our barn. So that got me into music from a very young age. Yeah.
There was a band called Star Sailor. I can't remember any of their music at the top of my head. But at the age of like 13, 14, they were like everything that I, wished I could be. I remember watching them at the UEA back in Norwich many, many moons ago.
Is there anyone that you guys just completely fanboy over?
Don't say me, it's okay.
Tom Waits.
Oh, wow.
For me, he's always been a bit of an icon to me. I love that he's an actor, musician, and the sort of the route he's taken in later years, going into some really kind of out there dark music, and like the Bastards and Brawlers album. Yeah, so that's mine. And also his movie choices and some of the projects he's worked in, I would always I'd love to follow in his footsteps in any way.
I never kind of grew up with much knowledge of music in a way that my education was dreadful. So I blame my parents for that. But so for me, I idolised footballers. That was David Beckham was my hero. I suppose Posh Spice, the Spice Girls. I remember seeing David Beckham at a party once in the distance, and that was like the first time I was like, I can't bring myself to go and speak to him. I was like, got really giddy like a proper little schoolgirl.
I was going to say, I mean, Sam, I have heard you sing Two Become One, and it moved me.
Hey, this is what I do for a living. I transport people, and make them think that I could be anybody. In fact, I actually did a fashion show at my junior school or my primary school, and I dressed up as Posh Spice. In a bin bag, though. We had to make. It's a long story, but I can be Posh Spice. I can be anything you want me to be.
I bet that was a great look. Have you still got the pictures? Because we need to put them out there.
Thankfully, no. They have been destroyed, like the bin bag that I wore, and I think I decorated it with metallic pens. That's how classy I was.
Nice. That feels like very Posh Spice.
Very
shiny.
Posh Spice,
I bet you twinkled. You twinkled nice. My brother used to love the Spice Girls. He had a cassette tape with the Spice Girls on it, and one day I found it and I took it in to show and tell. He got really mad at me. I think I was about 6.
See, they're all actresses as well. They did the Spice Girls movie, right? So I feel that, like Tom Waits, Victoria Beckham. It's
I'm very much here for the Spice Girls love. But Sam, please tell me, since we last spoke yesterday, that your mum's found the Spice cards.
Oh no, she was here. She wasn't at home. She was here supporting us at the screening. So no. But I'll get right on that.
Get her on the case. She'll be looking for them tonight.
The costume.
This is it. Well, I'm sure there's some bin bags lying around. Yeah.
When you're making an album, it's an intimate thing. It has to be.
I've never seen him smile this much in his life.
You guys are doing everything in this. It's insane. Did you really feel like you were very much part of a band?
Yeah, I mean, we were blessed to have time to bond as a band. We had a 3-month band camp prior to filming. And this was after,
6 months.
Yeah, I mean, this was sort of after the 1.5 years of delays because of the COVID lockdowns. So we were blessed, I think, with time. But it was a very natural, easy fit. And I think by the time we got to actually filming, we'd all forgotten why we were here. I think we were we're going on tour. We're a band.
Yeah, it did become to feel very real after a while. We did 3 months and then there was a huge delay, but we stayed in touch and we were still practicing. Then we came back 1.5 years later and did another 3 months of band camp together. And yeah, it was kind of like by the time that was finishing, it's like, oh yeah, we're going to make a TV show. That's right.
It's incredible though. I mean, what were some of the biggest challenges?
I think they probably differ for each of us in different ways. Biggest challenge for me is, getting into a character like Eddie, I feel like he's a little further away from me psychologically, so figuring that out and navigating it. I'm English, so, doing a good job of portraying an American accent is always something that I find a challenge, but it's one that I love to take on. And yeah, just there was many but it was all such a good time. What about you?
Yeah. Well, I think just that the Americanism of Billy Dunne was something again you want to do as authentically as possible. But for me, I mean, musically there was quite a journey I needed to go on. In fact, I was watching videos of me first playing the guitar and singing, and I don't know what they saw in me really. But I think I was so fortunate to have the extra time because of the delays that I was able to actually learn the guitar properly. And
it's insane what he did. He came in with no knowledge of playing the guitar, and originally was only going to have 3 months to learn an entire album of some very complicated music. But fortunately, after the way everything worked out, by the end of the pandemic and our second band camp, you were strumming every song and singing at the same time. It's unbelievable, really. Yeah. You did an amazing job.
Nailed it. I'm waiting for the Spice Girls covers now as well. That's next to come.
This is next for Daisy Jones and the Six. Where are they now?
We're doing the remake of the Spice Girls, but it's played by me and Sam.
playing all the characters.
All of the characters, yeah.
I will be first in line. I will be there. You can count on me. But the music is just incredible. Sam, out of all of your previous characters, who do you think would be the biggest Daisy Jones and the Six stan?
Oh, gosh. Oswald Mosley from Peaky Blinders. I think he'd be a massive Daisy Jones and a secret Daisy Jones and the Six fan. No, I don't know. That's a really difficult question. I'll say Finnick.
My love, you have my heart.
And this is the second time that you've worked with Suki. How was it this time round?
Oh, I mean, I adore that girl with all of me. Yeah, I think it was her first ever job when we worked together, and we were trying to figure out how old she was. I think she was 20, and I was sort of like 24. So it's a long time ago. Long time ago. But no, I think when you meet her and you spend any time with her, you can't help but fall in love with her. She's just Suki. She called me, set daddy, because I would sort of organise her life for her. She's like, Dad, what scene are we shooting next? I'm like, okay, well, it's this scene. This is where we've just been. This is where we're going. But no, she's, and obviously sort of seeing the growth of her as an actress and a musician. Again, she's now been on tour, for her album that's been released since we finished filming. So seeing like the growth of her as a human, and but as an actress and a musician has been amazing.
You've all done the most incredible job in this. Thank you so much for talking to me a second time, Sam. Thank you so much, guys. Have a lovely rest of your day.
You
Bye.
too.
Hits Radio.